The anthropologist Hocart pointed out that the strength of human beings as a species is their weakness. They're utterly useless. They are almost the only species which have no useful assets on their bodies. They don't have claws or fangs or wings or feathers or fur, or they can't run very fast, they can't hear very well, and so on. They're just pathetic. And they take an awful long time to get up to a point where they can even walk or run. But they have this brain. And what they did was basically take this weakness and turn it into their great strength, because technology has been defined as the extensions of man. And what technology basically is to take the human body and then to focus on a part of it and extend it. So make a spade which extends your arms, or a bicycle that extends your legs. And I'll be talking about things that extend your eyes and your stomachs. So basically, very early on, human beings started to think about how they could survive in this merciless world where they were faced with tigers and so on and so on. And they developed objects which extended their bodies, but above all, techniques, because the great anthropologist Marcel Mauss defined technology as traditional, effective action. And Brodel also said that technology is not the sail or the rope, it's the way you tie the rope, the way you use the sail. So technology is a set of skills around often a physical object. And so it's immensely powerful because human beings know how to use. I mean, it's been discovered that birds, they make nests, obviously, and some uh, chimpanzees and others use sticks to poke, and so animals, it's been discovered, use tools, but not terribly effectively, and they don't develop them. Because what happened with human beings is that by chance, and this is the difference between technology and science, technology happens like science by random variation and selective retention. You discover that this thing floats, and when you sit on it, you can move across water, and you think that's a good idea, and you tell someone, and then other people do it, and they are selectively preferred. So technology is a chance over thousands of years, and this is one of the reasons why the Chinese are such great technologically civilization, because it's such an ancient, diverse, and huge civilization. So the discovery of a certain kind of rock or clay somewhere develops into great porcelain or whatever it is that they've discovered. So through chance, you have traditional effective action getting more and more effective through time. And that's what's happened to human beings. But the other general thing to say about technology is that it's not a cause of anything. You don't have technological determinism. Technology is a tool which allows things. It's a door, but you don't have to go through the door. You have a car in your garage, you don't have to go anywhere. On the other hand, if you don't have that car, there are quite a lot of places you can't go. So it is often a necessary, but very seldom a sufficient cause. So most civilizations, if you look at them, people will say, well, they had coal. Chinese had coal, the British had coal. Well, it wasn't the coal, it was the traditional knowledge that built up around what you could do with coal that turned it into something really effective. And so technology is a very powerful mover, but only as one component of huge social changes. So the first thing really to grasp is its power, because this is, I think, one of the things that really interested me. I first got interested in technology, I think, mainly when I went to Nepal, because I grew up in British society where we had cars and we had telephones, we have electricity, and I took these for granted. When I went in 1968 to Nepal, went to a civilization which basically had very, very little technology. It had animals, which is an extension of man in one way. It's one form of technology. And it had little water mills, but not very sophisticated ones. But that was about it. I mean, they had a few simple hoes and plows and things like that. But 90% of the work was done by the human being, by the actual body, the human back, head, arms, legs. And so you had no electricity, you had no modern medicine, you had obviously no telephone, you had no roads, you have no cars, you have no, and suddenly being all this stripped away, I thought back to my own society and I thought, good heavens, how much have we got that they haven't got? And how did we get it? So this aroused my interest in technology. And so when I came back, and later particularly influenced through the work of Jack Goody, who was very interested in technology, I have spent a lot of my life and time. And the last major outside influence, which I mentioned before we get down to any details, was meeting an industrialist who I've mentioned before, Jerry Martin, because he was really interested in technology. That was how he earned his living. He was an engineer. Engineers make technology, use technology. He made control engineering devices for glass manufacturing, for Pilkingtons and so on. He'd become very successful and very rich because he'd realized that it isn't the actual machines, it's the social structure around the machines. So he got really good people. He spent a lot of his time finding people to work with the technology. And so when we met up, he constantly said to me, as someone dealing with ideas and culture, Alan, it's the technology you should be looking at. And it was through him that I came to work on glass and comparative technologies a great deal. So those are the formative elements of an interest in something which finally is so dominant in our lives. A Martian looking at 21st century Britain or the world would say, well, what is the outstanding feature of their lives, these human beings there? And it's the rapidly changing and impacting technologies of all kinds. Because technology we sometimes think of as just physical machines, but communications technologies, computers, information technologies, it's the bundle which covers everything outside the human body. And unless children growing up in our world are really taught what technology is, how it affects our lives, how you can use it properly, and how you can avoid its misuse, we're not going to progress very much.